Greetings, people of the Tinterweb. It's another Auto Addicts. Auto Addicts. Yes, it's German shit. No, it's a BMW, a black man's willy, a Bavarian barnstormer, or whatever you want to call it. This one is a 530D M-Sport. What can we tell you about it other than stuttering? It's a bluey colour. It's a diesel, and there's lots of flies. Where have all these flies suddenly come from? Anyway, yeah, moving back to the car and not the flies. It is an E60 BMW. See, all the BMW people, they like their E numbers, so to speak. But this is an E60. It is from the bangle butt era of BMW. Crisp bangle. Some people love it, most people hate it. I don't mind this one. The 7 series is a bit horrendous, as is the 6 series, but this, as you'll see when we look at its large rump, isn't too bad. The stats as factory were 166 grams per kilometre CO2, a top speed limited of 155.34 miles an hour, a 0 to 100 kilometres of 6.3, and a 0 to 60 of 6 seconds from its 3 litre inline 6 diesel engine. It is, as factory, 245 horsepower and 398.28 pounds-feet of torque. This one's a little bit more. I believe it's been tweaked, so that will be fun. So what else can I tell you about it? Not a lot. It's a modern car. I've done no research because I'm really organised. It's got headlights and a private plate. Let's have a look at the back. So here we have a lovely bangle butt in all its glory. I should be on QVC. So you can see it's a 530D because it says so on the back, and the spiders like it right where the lock is, which is handy. Ah! And the boot's quite violent. And in the boots here we can see it's quite a decent size. You'll get an awful lot of drugs in the back of this. I reckon, I mean, I suppose this is a similar size to maybe a little bit bigger than your average kilo of Charlie or Brown, and I reckon you can get lots of them in there. You can get a lot of drugs in the back of this car, and when they don't pay, you can probably get a couple of dead junkies in the back as well. So yeah, not a bad size. This one you do yourself? It is, yeah.
Yeah, needs a bit of oil. Interestingly,
you can also play music with the boot. So inside. So what's it like in here? Nice comfy leather seats, lovely ergonomically good dash, which to be fair BMW are always good with. I probably prefer the slightly earlier BMWs where it did almost curve a bit towards the driver, but now we're flush across there, although still far better than the modern ones, which have just got loads of, it's basically a big television around you, which is there. So what have we got in here? Well, let's have a look. We have some rather interesting cup holders. Let's do that again. Look at that. Oh god, I do love a German cup holder. Obviously all your aircon, CD player, a nicely damped dash tray, parking sensors, heated seats, and a DTC. No idea what a DTC is, but you've got one. You've got all your control-y bits here, thusly, and weird ass gear stick, which we'll come to later. Obviously your steering, cruise control, indicators and other bits, wipers, your dash, obviously your miles and kilometres, your amount of diesel, a little MPG indicator and a rev counter, stop start button, headlights, door stuff, an SOS button because, you know, when the BMW crashes, and some lights. If we put the key in, when I find out what I've done with it, haha, I haven't lost it. You can see it's a key without a key, like most modern keys. Little buttons, goes in thusly, and it lights up and it beeps at you. There we go, and we have a infotainment system coming alive, making sure you know you're in a BMW, in case you forgot. By the way, in this car, if you crash, it's no good asking SOS, because there is no SOS. You're not allowed to die in this vehicle. Are we going to come alive? Perhaps we have to start it to come. There we go. Now we've come alive and beeped out again. So we had climate control and other stuff. Here we go, a bit of information here. We're never going to arrive. We can only arrive if it's within 216 miles, although it's 5,999 miles to the destination. We're averaging 24 mpg and 32 we're averaging 24 miles an hour and 32 mpg apparently. So there's all that information. No, that button don't do anything. What's that button do? No, that button don't do anything. What's that button do? That button don't do anything. Ooh. So we twiddle this thing about and that thing does things. Obviously I've no idea what these things do because I haven't paid any attention and I haven't bothered to ask the owner. But it does stuff. So yeah, anyway, now I've finished talking bollocks. Let's see what the back's like. Oh, and I'm about to sit on Def Leppard. They wouldn't like that. So, in the back, with the front seat set for me, loads of legroom, loads of headroom, a black headliner. We have a couple of auxiliary ports, some fans, mat pockets, some funky headrest extras, and obviously somewhere for your German children to extinguish their cigarettes. But it's quite a nice place to be, quite comfy, quite spacious. Yeah.
And we've got an armrest in the middle and all.
And we've got an armrest in the middle and all, apparently. Ah, there we go. Oh. Ah. Oh, with stuff. Yeah. Oh, cup holder. More German cup holders. Look at that. Some hidden German cup holders that are now attaching themselves to my jacket. Look at that. Look. Look at that. Anyway, I'm easily amused. Don't know what that is. Got a twiddly thing in there. Yeah, we even got a twiddly thing. I've no idea what the twiddly thing is, but we've got a twiddly thing. If you know what the twiddly thing is, comment below, because I now want to know what the twiddly thing is.
It locks it into there.
Ah, that locks it into there apparently. No need to comment below. The owners just told me. Yes. Right. There's the dashboard from back here. Cool. So what's it like to drive? Let's find out. But before we go for a drive, we should look under the bonnet, because I know you all want to see an engine. So there is a BMW diesel engine. I know you all want to see a BMW diesel engine, so now you've seen a BMW diesel engine. Oh no, I don't need to turn the key, I need to press the button. And the diesel fires to life and bings at me again. So, to go into drive, we literally just pull the gear stick forward. No, we don't. We press the button and pull the gear stick forward to go in the drive, or backwards, towards the back of the car, that way. Wait for a jogger so we don't run him over. Oh, we're off! Very slowly. It's not exactly a racing launch, because we're on rough ground. And I don't want to kill his car because you sat there.
Don't bother with it.
Don't bother him apparently, but shaky. Let's go this way. So, all the doors locked to make sure you can't get out. And we cruise along at 20 mile an hour. We crest the hill so I can see there's nothing coming. Takes a second or so to think about it and we're off. That's quick. Yeah. Goes alright, to be fair, as you know, not the fastest thing in the world. It's yeah.
Ain't got it in M-Sport yet.
And yes, we'll investigate the performance further when we're on a slightly wider road. Less chance of having a head-on with a John Deere or a Massey Ferguson. Other tractors are available. But first impressions. Drives alright. The ride is a bit harsher than I probably expected, but then this is the M-Sport version. The steering is quite direct. There's enough feel there. Probably again not quite as much feel as I would expect from other older let's try that again. Older BMWs I've driven, but I think this is probably electronic power steering in this. And obviously modern electronic power steering never quite gives the feel the older systems did, but there's enough feel. If I ran over a penny, I wouldn't be able to tell you what way round the penny was, but I possibly could tell you I've run one over, so it's good enough. While you can tell it's a diesel on start up, now we're on the move, you wouldn't know this was a diesel, other than possibly the copious amounts of low down torque you've got that you wouldn't have in a petrol. Pull away nice and gently. It's quite good. Do you know how many gears this has got?
6.
It's a 6-speed box. So it's possibly not too bad. Some of the later boxes with 8-10 speeds never seem to know what gear they want to be in. So we are entering a national speed limit sign. We're doing a bit of the speed, so floor it, kick down, and we are very quickly up to a speed that I won't mention. So yes, it's in normal drive it is perfectly rapid enough to get you into trouble, but in comfort, which is always nice. You can see why the police like these 3-litre diesel BMWs. need obviously at least as much power as the drug dealers they're trying to catch. But, you know, while this isn't the twistiest bit of road in the world, it's not even remotely phased by it. The indicators are these ones that go back. They don't the stalk doesn't sit up. They go back. So that's can take a bit getting used to. I've had a car with that before. At this point, I must apologise. I completely forgot I was in a BMW. I'm so sorry to all BMW drivers out there, to BMW themselves. I'm very, very sorry. I forgot the indicators were only there for display. I shouldn't have used them. It won't happen again. And we go across. We're now in that. So if we drop it down, no, it's up. Drop it down. Oh, it still changes. That is very quick. Oh, I am definitely slowing down at this point. So yeah, you can shift manually, but it will still shift up when you get to the red line. So while you're hanging on for dear life, you still haven't got to worry about changing up. And move back into D, and we're back civilised again. So we'll slow down a little bit. Yeah, so when you need to get a shift on, it will get a shift on. And it's a very, again, being a diesel with all that low down torque, it is a very progressive, very linear power delivery. In drive, in just automatic drive, when you put your foot down and the kick down comes in, it does tend to sort of put you back in the seat when you're using that, because you're not having to change down so many in one hit. It's a much more progressive power delivery, and you really get up to speed very quickly without any real drama. As I said, you can see why the police like these things, and the drug dealers. But even in drive, here we go, just put my foot down, thinks about it for a second, and away we go. That is the only real difference, I think, with the drive, is just that bit where it has to think about it for a second and decide whether the German electrics are going to allow you to proceed briskly. Whereas in manual mode, you override the German electronics and they have no say in the matter. But even at speeds we won't mention, it's very quiet and civilised in it. If you didn't look at the little needle bit in front of you, you wouldn't realise you were doing just over 70. But to be fair, in all seriousness, apart from just hooning around like a prat, it does make it a very safe car. If you need to get out of trouble, need to get out of the way, you can get out of the way very quickly. If you want to get past something, it's not a problem. In some cars, my everyday car for example, you find yourself having to slow down and pull in behind stuff. The problem with that is if something stupid is happening, you're behind it. Whereas at least in this, you can get past it very quickly and out of trouble. In comfort. Sat on German cows. Thankfully dead ones. road, but a bit more bumpier, a few little twisty bits in. See how it performs, see if it's better than my everyday Renault. But first things first, we'll let this fly out. Well, it gets past tractors and the fly didn't go out. It's coming along for the ride. So this is one of these roads where in my everyday car you struggle to overtake. If you're stuck behind someone slow, you're just stuck behind someone slow. I have a funny feeling this might not be the case with this. There's a bit hub coming up here, but there's a car with a caravan coming along, so you know I'm not going to be able to get past it. However, in this you don't even have to think about it. I'm past it with still loads of straight road left to spare. Yeah, the speed, as ridiculous as it sounds, makes it a safe car. And then you cruise along at the national speed limit very comfortably, knowing that should you need to get past something, it's not going to be a problem. Power is safe. Ask Jeremy Clarkson, he'll back me up. The car's very planted on the road. Steering is precise. Suspension, perhaps a little bit stiffer than you'd expect from a luxury car, but that does mean it handles very nicely. It feels very planted, very safe and stable. I mean, these bends you'd slow down for in something like my Renault, this doesn't even notice they're there. It's a very safe and stable car. So at slow speeds, this is possibly a little bit more jiggly than perhaps I'd like. You do notice the harder suspension on a rough surface like this at slower speeds. But once you've sped up and you're not stuck behind slow people, you don't tend to notice that quite so much. You have to remember, as well as the stiffer suspension the M-Sport would have, this is on very low profile tyres as well. And that can make a huge difference. If you watch my review of FD Mazda RX-7 that was on non-standard wheels, you can really see the difference in that between what a standard one would be and one on really low profile tyres. It completely changes the vehicle. To my mind, made it almost undrivable, but this is nowhere near that bad. Brakes are very good. They don't take hardly any pressure. There's enough feel. You can feel the brake, what the brakes are doing. Some modern cars, the brakes are just far too wooden. You really just don't feel what's going on. So what are my conclusions with this vehicle? Well, I think twofold really. If I was a drug dealer or a law enforcement officer, I'd be quite happy flying about in this all day. it's plenty quick enough, it's comfortable. Brakes are good, it's quiet, it's a very nice place to be. For what we're talking, an 11-year-old vehicle now with some miles, 142,000 miles, it feels new. Certainly you look around the interior of this, as we have done, you would not think it's done anywhere near those sort of miles. The leather is good, you know, everything, nothing is particularly worn. It's just generally a pleasant place to be. It's no, don't get me wrong, I mean, from a comfort point of view, a luxury point of view, put yourself in a Jag or a big Mercedes, probably a far nicer place to be from a comfort point. But whether or not they drive as well, probably not. This, as I said, you can really understand why the police like these things as pursuit cars. They're comfortable, they're quick, and if, let's face it, if they use them as much as they do, they've got to be pretty reliable cars. So yeah, this is one of those reviews where I got in it thinking I probably won't like it that much. It'll be alright, but it won't be anything special. I'm not a BMW person. I'm not a huge fan of the Bangle butt, although, as I've said earlier, this is nowhere near as bad as the 7 Series or the 6 Series. But I'm pleasantly surprised. I've actually enjoyed driving the car. I'd probably still buy a Jag if it's me, but, you know, I like Jags. I can overlook all the faults of Jags, the unreliability of Jags, because I'm a Jag person. We're weird like that. Same with Land Rovers. Keep buying Land Rovers even though you know you're going to be broken down somewhere, spend hours with a welder, it's going to cost you a fortune, but you just overlook it. There's not really much to overlook with this. If you're thinking with your head rather than with your automotive heart, you would probably buy one of these. Like, comment, subscribe, comment below, tell me what you think. Would you buy one of these, or would you have one of the rivals? What would you go for? Do you think I'm a moron for wanting the Jag instead of one of these? Tell me below. He does. He thinks I'm a moron, but then he knows me. See you in the next one. Ta-da! Say ta-da.
Bye.